So hi everybody. How are you? Good. I'm just great. Thanks for asking me how I am. The one person who asked it. Hey, if you don't know me, my name is Jason Wavle. I was on staff here for a couple years. I was tech guy. I did video stuff. I did sound. I was in the band. I led worship. I did program. I did like every job there was possible to do. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. I'm here to talk about a couple things. My seminar is called EXPLICIT. Somebody say explicit. Explicit. Real talk about music, swearing, and words that make your grandma blush. You guys ready? He was born ready. Here's the thing. I talk a lot like I'm just talking to you, and like sometimes I'll ask a dumb question, and like you should answer because otherwise I'll feel dumb. So if I'm like, is that cool? You should say, yeah. You can't say no, but that would be rude. Don't do that. It'll hurt my feelings. Okay. Anyway, so I want to tell you a couple stories before we get into our seminar for today. And don't worry, I mean, I'm going to talk for a little bit, but there'll be a couple times where you guys will be talking amongst yourselves. We're going to do a little activity later. But speaking of activities, does anybody here like music? I mean, you know, anybody ever listen to music? Yeah, that's pretty relatable, right? Music, listening to music, okay, great. I love music. Music has always been a really big part of my life. And to kind of show you a little bit of that background, I want to tell you a story. Can I tell you a story? Yes. Wonderful. Somebody said no, it was really funny, but I'm going to do it anyway. So, both these stories are at least funny to me because I'm an embarrassing person, and I love telling the stories of my past that just completely embarrass me. And also, it's going to be weird today because some of these stories involve my parents, and my parents are sitting right there right now. So anyway, say hi, Gene and John. There we go. All right, cool. But it's okay. We're going to go for it anyway because I want them to know how I feel deep down in my heart. Just kidding. I love you both. So I got two stories for you. Two stories. You ready? Yes. Okay, good. So from a very young age, I'm an only child, right? So I have no brothers or sisters. Any other only children in the house? Anybody else? Are you serious? There's no only children. Get out of my face. Get out of my face. Anyway, so I was an only child, and my parents are great. They were great. But sometimes, not completely to the fault of their own, I was a little bit like spoiled at sometimes. Like it wasn't that I got everything I wanted, but like I thought I could get everything I wanted. It was, you know, probably a little mix of both, whatever. And so kind of right around 6th grade, I wanted an iPod mini for Christmas. Does anybody know what an iPod mini is? Please tell me someone knows what an iPod. Okay, great. So right, you had the old iPod, right, which was like the square thing that had the like little black and white screen, the little click wheel was usually silver. You know, it was a real big deal when it could hold like 20 gigs of music. Like, whoa, man, that's a lot of songs. And these iPod minis, right? There was this green one I wanted because I love green, right? And it held 6 gigabytes of music. Oh, I was like 1,500 songs. I'm like, wow. I don't even know that many songs. I'm just going to buy random songs so I can fill it up with 1,500 songs. That'll be great. And so I wanted that, and I kept dropping hints like, Mom, Dad, I want this for Christmas. It's on my Amazon list. Like, just in case you didn't know, you can tell Santa, I want that iPod mini. And Christmas morning came around, and, you know, it was a good morning. I waited there at the top of the steps. I came down, and like I started opening presents, and like, you know, so far no iPod, so far no iPod. But then there was this envelope, okay? And inside this envelope, there was like a card, and in the card was a gift card for iTunes, right? Right, okay, so like we have like Spotify. I mean, iTunes still exists, but we mainly use like Spotify now, and iTunes has Apple Music, right? These like kind of pay for streaming services. But like back in the day, right? Back in the days of CD player burning, okay, right? You had to like buy songs individually on iTunes. You could buy a whole album, but you bought songs individually, right? And I got this iTunes card. I was like, oh, I know what that means. I know what that means. This iPod mini is coming because like they're not going to get me an iTunes card. They're not going to give me an iPod to listen to it on. And so I got this card. I was real excited. Kept opening presents, but there was no iPod mini. But like sometimes though, like, and this it probably shows the spoiled brat in me. Sometimes there was like a one more thing, like after everything was done, after all the gifts were open, like, oh, from behind the couch, one more thing, right? I was like, okay, it's got to be that. So I finished opening my gifts, and like I waited like 5 minutes, but like there was no one more gift. I was like, where is it? Is it under the couch? Like, is it in the fireplace, in the like chimney or whatever? Like, but it didn't happen. And after I realized it didn't happen, the spoiled brat in me came out, and I started crying about it. I was like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do with this iTunes gift card. I can't even have an iPod to listen to music on. I'll have to burn it onto a CD player. And I'm like actually crying at this point. I'm an embarrassing person. It's okay, right? But I was like, I kind of came around to it though, and I got over it. I got over the fact that I didn't get an iPod. You know, I could just buy songs on iTunes. I was okay. It's good enough. I'll buy some songs on iTunes. I like music. And so I went on iTunes, and I was looking through some songs, and I see this red E next to some of these songs. You ever seen that? Like little E marking next to the song. And I put my little mouse over it, and it said, this song is explicit. But at that point, I didn't know what that meant. So I went to my dad, my dear old dad. I said, hey, Papa John. Hey, what does explicit mean? And in his fatherly wisdom, Papa John said to me, it means you can't buy it till you're 14. I said, okay, yes, I will not do that. And then I kind of got scared to buy explicit songs, right? I would even into high school, right? Even when I was 14, I was scared to buy an explicit song. I'd have one when I was 16, but the song even wasn't that bad. Anyway, another story for another time. But so I was trying to figure out, what makes a song explicit? Why does it have this E next to it, and why does the E mean I can't listen to it? Anybody know what explicit means? Anybody want to take a stab at that? Come on, let's take some courage here. Raise your hand if you want to try to take a stab at what explicit means before I call somebody out. It's going to happen. You could just, it's, okay, what? It's a bad word. Okay, so a bad word might be explicit. Okay, that's good. Anybody else? Will, what do you think? Bad content, okay, right? So just the whole entirety of the song might be bad. But what bad? What would make that song bad? It might be inappropriate for anybody, for certain ages. Okay, great. So we're living in a good direction. That's great. So I tried to sort that out in my mind. Okay, I don't really get why I can't buy some of these songs, but I didn't do it at all. But really, swearing in music wasn't the problem for me when I was growing up. I don't know if you guys will believe this or not. Can I be real with you right now? Can we be real with each other? All right, cool. So, when I was in middle school and high school, sometimes I said some swears. Hey, this is a judgment-free zone. This is Planet Fitness. You shut your mouths. All right, listen. I gotta be honest with you. I wasn't a perfect angel, and you're lying if you say that you are. I know that you've said something that you shouldn't have, whether it's a swear word, whether it's something else, right? And that kind of manifested itself for me in the beautiful days of MySpace. MySpace, anybody? Come on, let me see it. Yes. When he said AOL Instant Messenger last night, I lost my mind. Miss it every day. Anyway, so I had a MySpace when I was kind of leaving middle school, going into high school, and I had this friend on MySpace. He was my cousin's friend from New York, and we played Xbox online together sometimes. It was great. It was awesome. Loved it. I was friends with him on MySpace, and back in the day, on MySpace, we had a wall. You could write on each other's wall. It's kind of writing on a comment on Instagram or tweeting at somebody, whatever. It's the same thing. So you'd write on their wall, and for some reason, I don't remember why or what, but I had this correspondence with my friend Jack. And so my parents, they weren't they didn't invade my privacy in the way of having my passwords, although they might have and just haven't told me yet. But they did kind of keep an eye on the things I said and just what was going on my MySpace page, right? And at one point, I had this correspondence with Jack, just back and forth. He wrote on my wall. And so I think one time when they were looking on my MySpace, they saw that Jack had wrote on my wall. So they clicked on Jack's profile to see what I had said. Now, to Jack, I had said, and I don't remember why or what, but I said, Jack, you're a legend. But I didn't just say you're a legend. There was a word in front of legend. And it began with the letter that comes after E. and ends like an action verb. Anyway, don't worry about it. So I said this word, and I said it on MySpace, and I thought, yeah, it's internet, fine, whatever. All good. A couple weeks later, I get called down to the living room. You know what's up. Get called down to the living room, and Gene and John are sitting there. No TV on. The fireplace isn't even roaring. So I know what's going down. And it's like, I don't even know what. My heart was racing, and I sit down, and my dad slides this paper across the table, upside down, like he's a foreign diplomat, like giving plans to the embassy. And I flip it over, and I look at it. And my parents had printed out Jack's MySpace page and circled what I said with Sharpie, with question marks pointing to the circle. And my dad said, "You have anything to say about that?" My dad also sounds like Batman. And I said, "No, I don't know. I mean, it's just whatever." That's a lie. I was bawling because I'm scared of everything, and I hated getting in trouble. So I was like, "I don't know." And I thought it was just a word. It wasn't that bad. Because I didn't get, why can I say some words and not others? It's just a word. Maybe you've been in the same spot. Maybe you've experienced the same thing. That we're allowed to say some words. We're not allowed to say others. And maybe it's not even swearing, right? Maybe it's like music, right? Like, why is some music okay to listen to and other music is not? Before we start our conversation today about real music, swearing, and words to make your grandma blush, I want to say two things. Number one, my purpose today, right, is not to give you a license to say whatever you want. I don't want you walking out of this place feeling like you can rip swear words and just say whatever you want, because that's not what's about to happen. I promise you. If you came here for that, I'm very sorry. My purpose today is to start good conversations with your friends, with your leaders, maybe even with your parents. That's my goal for today. Number two is this is large in part a discussion for Christians. Now, don't get me wrong, there are a ton of words, a ton of reasons not to say inappropriate things or bad words when you're not a Christian, but claiming to follow Christ, there are certain actions and attitudes that we want to reflect. And so, and because there's bounds on that, that's kind of why we're having this conversation today, to figure out what are these guidelines for us, because we operate out of grace. And so before we move on today, I want to give you guys a few minutes to talk amongst yourselves. Would you like that? Okay, cool. Here's what you can do. Just around you, either next to you, in front of you, behind you, find like 3 to 5 people to circle up with. Ready, set, go. Find 2 people. Don't get out of your seat, but you can like spin a chair around if you want to. Or like, spin a chair around or just turn to your left or whatever. Find like 3 to 5 people to circle up with. You have 30 seconds. Here's what we are going to talk about in your groups. We're going to try to find out what makes a bad word, what makes a word bad. In your groups, you have 2 minutes. Talk about this. What makes bitch a bad word? So in your groups, you have 2 minutes. Talk about it. Go. 3, 2, 1. All right, bring it in. Come on. I am sassy. It's a sassy mood today. It's okay. All right, bring it in. So help me out, guys. What do you think? What makes that word a bad word? In the back. Go ahead, Lily. Your intentions. Okay. Love it. Good. Anybody else? Yes, sir? Really intense. It's really intense. Okay. Do we? I saw a hand up here. Yes.
I feel like it just makes that person feel like downgraded from what they are.
Awesome. I love that, right? It makes a person feel downgraded from what they are. Anthony. Derogatory. Okay. Yes. Say it again. Sorry. Context. Okay. Good. That's great. Love it. Anybody else? All right. Awesome. Love that. Maybe you were having some of the same thoughts. So let's talk about it. So I don't know if you know this, but originally, bitch was used to describe a female dog, right? So, and that was like commonplace in conversation. Like, I'm pretty sure even if you go to like Britain Today, or like if you were to like just go to any like the AKC stuff, if you're talking about a female dog, it's common like language to talk about that as a bitch. That's just the language that they use. But then somewhere along the line, people started to use it to hurt each other and to degrade each other, right? I'll give you a quick example of this. So we had a high school ministry we were running on Wednesday nights, and we would take some people. We'd go out and take a van. We'd pick some people up, bring them there for it. And one night, as we were leaving, going to the van, going to take them home, one guy decided to call a girl a bitch. I don't remember why, what the context was, whatever. But when he did that, she started swinging. And it was intense, and she lost it. Like, we could not control her, and she couldn't really control herself, but like we had to call the police. We said, if you don't stop this right now, we're going to call the police, and we had to. So my question is, how did we get from female dog to like throwing haymakers, right? I mean, like how did that happen? So today, I want to give us some guidelines to kind of think through how we speak, because the problem with swear words is not the words themselves, but the heart behind them, as we kind of pointed out already. So with that in mind, let's think through a few things we can use to kind of filter what we say. You have that card in front of you. You can pull that out and look at the one side that says the 3 language guidelines. They're also going to be up on screen as we talk about them. And the first one is this: honor God with what you say. Honor God with what you say. Do me a favor and say the underlined part. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Honor God with what you say. So honor, and I don't have to explain that to you, but just to frame it up, right? Honor can mean like respect, or to say like, or to show thanks or gratitude with, right? So to respect God with what we say, to show thanks to God with what we say. Colossians 3:17 says this: do everything you say or do in the name of the Lord Jesus. Always give thanks to God the Father through him. Colossians 3:17. Here's the thing. We have to start here. We have to start with this honor God thing, because if this isn't in line, nothing else matters. You might be saying, Jason, how do I do that? How do I honor God with what I say? I would say to you, great question. Thank you for asking that great question. See, because like the Bible doesn't have like a list of approved words. That would be very convenient, right? I could say, open your Bible app right now to Numbers 3:26, where you can see the good words, turn the page, see the bad words, right? But it doesn't say that. We don't have like a list of approved words in the Bible, so we have to make these guidelines for what's appropriate to say and what isn't. And so I would argue to you today that the things that we say, the things that we do, these must honor, show respect to, show thanks to God, because what we believe changes what we do. What we believe changes what we do. Here's what I mean. Can I have somebody's chair? You, sir. What's your name? Dane? It's a great name. I'm going to steal Dane's chair here for a second. This chair right here. I'm going to put it right there. This is a nice, there's no brand on it. But if I believed that this chair could not support my weight, if I believed that when I get up on it, it's going to come crashing down, I wouldn't do it, because I would believe that I'm going to get hurt if I step up on this. But if I believe that it can support my weight, I will. And so because I'm a man of faith, I'm going to stand on the chair, and it holds me up. Give me a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, that was embarrassing. Anyway, right? Thank you, Dane. Let's give it up for Dane, too, because he's awesome. Yeah. So if I believed that chair wasn't going to hold me, I wouldn't have got up on it, because I would have fallen over, and it would have been embarrassing, and you would have Snapchatted it and sent it to all your friends, and I would have been on Ellen because I got viral. Anyway, much in the same way, if I believe that there is a God who created me, who knows me, who loves me, then I will show that with the way that I speak and the way that I act, because what I believe changes what I do. A good question when you're thinking about saying or doing something is does this honor God? Before I do this, is the thing I'm about to say or the thing I'm about to do, does that bring honor to God? No? Then don't say it. But if it can, then okay. There's a couple more filters we can think through. So that's guideline number 1, honor God with what you say. Guideline number 2 says this: intention is everything. Say the underlined word for me. Intention is everything. Again, I said only the underlined part. Who said the whole thing? Who was it? What's wrong with you? Anyway, okay. So intention, right, if you don't know, intention just means like your motive or your purpose for doing something or why you're doing something. So your motive is everything. Your purpose is everything. Can I read another scripture real quick? You okay if I read the Bible? Is that cool? All right, cool. Just want to make sure. So I'm going to read from Matthew 15. And to give you a little bit of context, so you have these Pharisees who are kind of at war with Jesus a little bit. They're like religious rulers, basically. They were the ones keeping like the religious law, and they were always trying to catch Jesus in like a loophole. Like, we got him. We're going to arrest him and kill him because we don't want anything to do with him. We don't want him around here anymore. And at this point in the story, like during Jesus' time in Jewish culture, it was very important to be ceremonially clean. So like if you wanted to eat and your hands were unclean, you had to do this like correct ceremony to wash your hands so that you could eat and that you would not become unclean. And the Pharisees caught Jesus' disciples eating when they had not done the ceremonial washing. And so they come to Jesus and they say, Jesus, I got him. As they're your guys. They didn't do the washing. What are you going to say about it? And this is what Jesus says. Matthew 15. What goes into someone's mouth does not make them unclean. It is what comes out of their mouth that makes them unclean. He goes on and he says, the things that come out of a person's mouth come from their heart. Those are the things that make someone unclean. You see, Jesus is saying that unclean is not the things that go in, it's the things that come out. It's our words, our actions, even our thoughts. Because those are kind of like an overflow of our heart, like what's going on inside of us, right? And what's going on inside, it comes out through our speech, our actions, and our words. And so a good thing to think through if our intention is why or our purpose or our motive, then before you're about to do something or before you're about to say something, think, why am I saying this? Why am I about to say it? Is it because I'm trying to be rude? Because I'm trying to be inappropriate? Because all my friends think that's funny? Because I'm trying to insult someone? Like, why am I saying this? If it's one of those reasons, then no, don't say it. But if you're saying it because you want to build somebody up and not break them down, then go ahead. That's probably a good thing that you could say because intention is everything. Final guideline, number 3. It says, be mindful of others. Read that underlined part for me. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Be mindful of others. Great work. One more Bible verse here for you. Is that okay? He said, okay, that's good enough for me. All right, Hebrews 12:14 says this. Try your best to live in peace with everyone. Try hard to be holy. Without holiness, no one will see the Lord. It says, try your best to live in peace with everyone. I'm going to blow your mind real quick. I mean, I'm sure I've been doing that like a ton already, but I'm going to do it again because I'm about to. You ready? Okay, so I don't know if you knew this or not, but the Bible wasn't written in English. I know, right? And Jesus wasn't white. Take that one with you, okay? So the Bible wasn't written in English. Jesus didn't speak in English. The Bible was written in Greek, right? It was kind of this kind of older street classical Greek. And I went back on this verse. I went to the original Greek on Hebrews 12, that try your best to live at peace with everyone. I read that original Greek, and I translated it for you. And I found that the better translation for that is this. Don't be a jag. I mean, why are you trying to offend someone with what you say? Here's what I mean. It's all about context, right? And we said that earlier. If you know something is going to offend someone, then why are you going to say it? Right? Because even, there might be times when it's appropriate for you to say a certain word. But if someone else is going to understand it in a different way than you say it, then maybe you shouldn't. If it's going to cause a problem, don't say it. Here's an example. The word sucks, right? I mean, like that's common language. Like we use that all the time. You probably said it 100 times this weekend. This sucks, that sucks, whatever. I'm just making fun of one of kids. Never mind. Okay, sorry. So, but that word's like super normal for us. But for like your grandparents' age, like, that was a swear word. I mean, that was just a word you didn't say, just like any of the other words you could think of. Sucks was basically a swear word. And, even if you'd said it in a harmless way like, this sucks, it would probably offend them. I know at one point, my my grandfather was telling me a story, and he just telling me the story, and I wanted to just show him that I understood what he was saying to me. I said, "Oh, Grandpa, that sucks." When I said that, it looked like this bag of bricks hit him in the chest and like knocked all this wind out of him. Like, Jason Alexander Wavle, you were raised better than that. I was like, what? I just said that sucks. I don't understand why that's. But then I understood that like to someone of my grandparents' age, sucks is a bad word. And so if I say it, it's going to offend them. So why would I say it? And so I would say to you today, if you are using your freedom, the freedom you have to say words that you know will offend someone, you're wrong. If you're using the freedom you have to say words you know will offend someone, you are wrong. So that's my 3 points for you. Honor God with what you say. Intention is everything. And be mindful of others. But here's something to keep in mind. You can go against all 3 of those guidelines without ever saying a swear word. You can do a lot of damage without ever saying a swear word. You can do that just by, in the words that we say, the way that we say them. Even if it's not a swear word, they can really degrade somebody, right? When we keep in mind the intention that we use them, the context that we use them in. An example I've used the past couple weeks is like, if I had a doctor and I went to my doctor and said, "Hey, Jason, you need to exercise more," right? I could say to my doctor, "Thank you, Dr. Jim." Or I could say, "Thank you, Dr. Jim." Right? So like I could use words that are completely respectful in a way that is disrespectful, therefore not bringing honor to him or just to, or to God or any people around me. Another way we're really bad at this is social media. Y'all are the worst at that. I'm going to tell you right now. You're the worst. Yes, thank you. Thank you, right? You admit it. I love it. Especially with Snapchat, because the worst part about Snapchat is anonymity. Right? The belief that like you are completely anonymous when you use Snapchat, and that when you say it, it's going to go away or not do any damage because it goes away. That is a lie. Right? Because some of the things that I know that like our middle schoolers have told me that has been sent to them on Snapchat, things our high schoolers have told us, like people are getting wrecked because of the things that people say, or like taking a picture of someone and adding a comment to it, even if there's no swear words in it, and just all the damage that does. And so like we can keep it in mind that with all of those guidelines, we can go against all 3 of them without ever saying a swear word. Now, I believe that these 3 guidelines are for what we should say, for our language, for how we speak, but also I think it applies to what we listen to. You guys ready to talk about music a little bit? Okay, I heard sure, I heard that'll work for me. So with music, here's what I think. If you aren't processing, you're soaking. If you aren't processing, you're soaking. Here's what I mean. You're a strainer or you're a sponge, right? You know what a strainer is? It's like the bowl with holes in it that whenever you have pasta, you pour the pasta in, all the water pours out, but the pasta stays in. Yes? Okay? Cool. Thank you. Wonderful. So, like, I got this bucket of dirty water, right? And I can try to scoop it all out with a strainer, but every time I do that, the water's just going to fall right through the holes of the strainer. I could try to take it out with a sponge, and every time I do, the dirty water is just going to be in that sponge because it's soaking it in. It's not processing it and straining out the dirty water. And so with that in mind, we need to be able to process what's coming in. We need to be able to process what we're listening to and what we are taking in. And I have 2 steps for that. You can flip that card over to music, the process. And here's 2 things you can think through when you listen to your music. I beg you, please, listen to your songs. And I mean listen to them. Listen to the lyrics. Because, like, no matter what the song is, the person who wrote that song, and they want you to, like, know what they're saying. They have a message for you. They have something they want to say. So at least do them the service of listening to it and figuring out what they're trying to say and what it means. So here's 2 things you can do to kind of process music. Number 1, when you listen to the song and you listen to the lyrics, ask, what is the artist saying? Right? What's the meaning of the song? What is the message they are trying to say? What is the song about? Secondary question, is it about anything? There's a lot of songs out there that aren't really even about anything. There's no purpose to them, but we listen to them anyway. Sorry. Second thing you can ask, do I agree with what they're saying? I know what the song is communicating. I know what the song is saying, but do I agree with it? And I'm not saying that if you disagree with a song, you shouldn't listen to it. Like, I think you should always be listening to and intaking stuff that you don't agree with, because it just makes you a more well-rounded person, but you do have to process it, right? Do I agree with what the artist is saying? Why? And if I don't agree with it, is it still appropriate for me to listen to? If you're not processing what's coming in, then it's going to be a part of what's coming out. You guys want to put that in practice real quick? Let's listen to some music? Okay, cool, because I asked you at the beginning if you like music, and like people are like, yeah, I kind of like music. Do you want to listen to music right now? Does that work? All right, great. Yes, wonderful. I love it. I got 2 songs for you. 2 songs that I'm going to let you choose from. So we're going to listen to the song. We're going to try to figure out in the groups you chose earlier, what is that song about? 2 songs here. First song is by my girl, Ari, Side to Side. Anybody know that song? Ariana Grande, Side to Side? Anybody? No? Yes? Okay, great. Okay, love it. Love Ari. Love that ponytail. It's awesome. We can choose that song, or I got this song about vegetables. It's called Broccoli. So we're going to take a quick vote. Who would be in favor of listening to Side, Ariana Grande, trying to figure that out? The cone? Nope. Okay. Who wants to give Broccoli a shot? Oh, boy. There's something wrong with you. Okay, just kidding. I love you all. Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to play Broccoli, okay? But it is the clean version. But what I want to get to today is, even though it's the clean version of the song, is it still clean? That's what we're going to try to figure out. So we're going to play the song. The lyrics will be on screen. Do your best to follow along. And enjoy. Yeah, or not enjoy, whatever. All right, that's enough of that. You people are disgusting. All right. Well, my friends, find that group you were with earlier. Take 3 to 5 minutes and answer this question. Hold on. Answer this question. Though that was the clean version of the song, was that song clean? Or is it appropriate to listen to it? Talk about it. Go. 2 minutes. 3, 2, 1. All right. That's it. Bring it in. Come on, people. Whoo, all right. So what do y'all think? We're going to do show of hands here. Who would say that, well, I'll ask 2 questions. Who thinks that song, let me ask this one first. Is the song clean? Who would say that song is clean with the swear words taken out? Would anybody say that it is still not clean even with the swear words taken out? Show of hands. Okay, pretty unanimous. All right, good. Good first thought. Second thought, is it still appropriate to listen to? Who would say that it is still appropriate to listen to, that it would be appropriate to listen to at any point or time or thing of that nature? Huh. I saw a couple like, huh, oh, no, okay, no. Who would say that it is not appropriate to listen to that song? Huh? Couple, okay, couple people still unsure. Got it, okay. Well, here's the thing. So if you didn't know, broccoli is not about broccoli, it's about weed. Yeah, I know, it just blew your mind again. I'm doing that like a ton today. But here's the thing, like in the song itself, even with the swear words taken out, kind of the way he glorifies drug use, which, you know, I'm sure you could talk to Doug at any point about like how that has affected him, right? But then beyond that, the way he talks about women is just not something I'm comfortable with at all, and is not okay at all, especially with the words still in there that he initially intended to use. It's disgusting, honestly. And so it's really tough because the song itself is like a good song. Like you listen to it, you're like, yeah, for me, right? It's like, oh, okay. But like you look at the lyrics, you're like, wait, but like I know what I believe, and inside this is really warring kind of with my heart. And so I think we can agree that even though a song is clean, it's not necessarily clean. And Yeah, a couple other things, but I'll skip over that just for the sake of time here. So I do want to wrap you up with this, though. Unless you are processing what your music is saying, it's going to start becoming a part of you. Unless you are processing what your music is saying, it's going to start becoming a part of you. And that applies to everything, too. That's not just music. That's video games. That's movies, like TV shows. Everything you intake, you have to process it. You have to be a strainer unless, because if not, you're going to be a sponge. I have some homework for you. You like homework? No. Okay, well, I have fun homework, so it's okay. Your homework is, by the end of this weekend, run that process on 2 of your songs. You got your music device with you. I know some people are like, I already ran out of my data. Okay, well, fine. Wait till you get home. And when you get home, analyze like your 2 favorite songs right now. Just listen to the lyrics and run the process. If I see you at all this weekend, I'm going to ask you what music, what songs are you processing. Start thinking about that so you can do that at some point. That's your homework. Final thoughts for us here as we wrap it up. You guys ready to wrap it up? All right, cool. So you might be saying, and you're asking such good questions today. I'm so proud of you guys. You might be saying, Jason, you haven't told me what swear words I'm allowed to say. And I would say, I know. That wasn't my point. You missed the point. That's not what I'm here to do today. My goal today was to give you some guidelines to filter what you say and what you listen to. I'm not going to tell you what you shouldn't say because you need to be the one who's processing that, not just with yourself. Oh, I can say that. Like, process that with people you trust, your leader, a trusted friend, something like that, to figure out, is this okay for me to say? Does it honor God? Are my intentions right? Am I being mindful of how other people might hear it? But one final point for you, a little bonus point. You can flip it back over to the 3 language guidelines side. And the final point to keep in mind is this: control is key. Control is key. James 3 says this. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can write it down if you want to read it later. James 3, 1 through 10. But I'm just going to summarize it. Basically, in the book of James, James says this, that like the tongue is like the rudder on a ship. Right? So like the rudder is like this little piece of wood that controls the direction of this huge, massive ship. It has like this small piece of wood has all this control over what the boat does. In the same way, like a bit has control over what a horse does. The bit is like the thing you put in the horse's mouth, and that little thing controls like where that massive beast goes. Like horses are basically dinosaurs. They can crush you, right? But like that little bit controls where the horse goes. Much in the same way, a small spark can cause a fire in a great forest. And so can our tongue ruin our lives. Someone who can't control what they say can ruin their life. And you guys know that from experience. Like, you can think of someone, maybe a friend who like has said something they can never take back. And that just kind of has shaped like what people think about them and who they are. Celebrities, right? I mean, like, you know how many celebrities' careers have been ruined because of something they said because they can't control what they say. You might be saying to me, Jason, it's hard to control that. It's hard to control anything. I can't do it. It's impossible. And to that, I would say you are right. It is impossible. It's impossible to be able to control what you say, what you do, by your own power. God, by the blood of Jesus and the power of his Spirit, gives you the ability to control what you say and what you do. When you're willing to let him help you, when you say, Lord, I need you to help me control what I say, to control what I do, to process what's coming in, he's faithful to help you do that. He's faithful to push you through. And the things that Doug was saying last night are so helpful in that regard, right? But like when we go to him, when we say, Lord, help me, he will do it. Remember, this is a conversation. This is not like a say-all, end-all, like, okay, the conversation's done after we leave here. This is a conversation. So please, talk about this with your leaders. Talk about this with your friends. Think through it. Maybe even talk about it with your parents if that's something you're comfortable doing. And if like controlling your language is something you really wrestle with, then talk to one of your leaders. They'd love to help, be an accountability partner for you or a friend that you really trust to kind of hold you to that higher standard and kick you when you're down. Just kidding. To like help you back up when you fall. You looked at your friend like, that's so you. Anyway. one final thought for you, and probably the most important one. If you heard nothing else tonight, which would be unfortunate, please hear this. We are not controlling our language so that God will love us. We are not controlling our language so that God will love us. You see, God knows you and God loves you more than you could ever imagine. No, because God loves us, we want to honor him with what we say, with what we do, all to his glory. Not so he will love us, but because he loves us. Let's pray. Father, I thank you for the opportunity to be gathered here this weekend. God, I pray that you would give us the courage to kind of wrestle in our own hearts with what it means to control, to process, but God, most of all, to give you honor and glory with what we say and what we listen to. God, give us the just the wisdom to think through that, and give us the courage to make hard calls, but God, most of all, just continue to push us to be the people you're calling us to be. We pray this all in your son's name. Somebody say amen. All right, you guys are awesome. Thank you for listening in. Dinner is at 6:15, so you got about 15 minutes. Thank you.